abandoned village. Kind of neat. They kind of designed it to look like an old western town. They used to have, well, in the 60s, like I said before, this was an old theme park. They had a cowboy and Indian show and all that good stuff. And a train went, yeah, they had a train that went around this place. I heard there was even a train trestle that kind of came down off the hill at some point. So that would have been kind of cool to see. I wish they still had the remnants of that. So everything's still here for now. Irvin Road. Looks like the wild, wild west, all these old buildings. Here's the old dance studio. Dance Expressions. Wow, I mean, it's just like they've come through and just... Kids, man. Oh, look, they had to have the walls painted pink for the girls here. Oh, that's pretty cool. Boy, they didn't leave a window up, did they? This is the old ice rink. Tony, from who owns Volume, the record store in downtown Hillsboro, has the ice rink sign. He asked whoever owns the property, I guess he asked, and I guess they let him have it. So it's now on his. That's weird. It's like the window's cracked up there, but it looks like an image almost. But Duke and UNC actually played hockey against each other here in the 80s. I'm not going to go too far. I've already filmed it anyway. I'm filming. Yeah, I'm filming. Everything's all right. I just was talking to that lady, and as you can see, she has reason to be concerned. You know, a lot of people are coming in these places and taking, you know, the copper, you know, scrap metal, whatever they can do to earn drug money. Or just come to vandalize for the heck of it. Neat little shop. Oh, look at Garfield. Little balloons on the balloon shop. Oh, cute little place, huh? Come on. Oh, it looks like they made all kinds of balloon figures. You could get, there's all the colors. Oh, that's from 2000. old satire drawings. Oh man, some of these buildings are still in awesome shape. Okay. Here is the old Mexican restaurant that I ate in many a times. I used to sit back there in the patio many times on nice spring days, spring and summer days. Oh man, somebody knocked over the well. What the hell? See, people are just taking the door off and taking the scrap metal. George Washington supposedly stayed in this house. See, you can tell this section is really old. This dates back to the 18th century, this section. And then that's old too, but it's a little bit newer than this section. But you can tell some of this wood really dates back. There's where the bar I used to pay there many a times. Look at that old stove. I sat at that bar quite a few times. It had margaritas. A lot of people were still ripping out the walls and still in the copper. Oh, they had a 96.5. Look at the Pancho Villa painting. Wow. Kind of cool to think that George Washington was in this house. So legend has it. Look at that old woodwork. And that's where the person would be to seat you. I remember I sat in here a few times. J. Lopez. Jennifer Lopez painted that. I don't want to be in here too long. Don't want to get in any trouble. There's a margarita glass and they moved across the street. Oh. Yeah. Here's the front of the house. The old George Washington Mexican restaurant. Now this is an old schoolhouse and a church. That's the school and that's the church. Little red schoolhouse. I wonder how old that is. Oh, that's a neat old table. Kind of makes me think of Subway, where they have the tables look like newspaper clippings. Or newspaper, just in general. Well, this looks like back where the kitchen was. I really liked when it was here. You know, it's still. They took the old Pizza Hut actually and turned it. They moved into the Pizza Hut across the way, which it turned out to be pretty cool. Ah, here's the old patio. Many people. There'd always be a patio full of people out here, and they'd have the mariachi band on the stage there. You know, hopefully they move this house since it has quite a bit of history. I wonder. There used to be a clipping telling about George Washington staying here. I'm sure it's gone. Oh well. No big deal. Just thought I'd show that to you if it was still on the wall. But I like their food. Their food's pretty good here. A little spicy for my taste, but cool stage. That'd be cool to set up the guitars and jam out here one night. Got a fan there. Oh, they got the specials up there. That's really neat. But yeah, I like that old chimney and that old woodwork. You can really tell of this place's age. You can distinguish the difference between that and this part of the house. Even though it's all old, but it looks like that might be the oldest section. There's some of the drink specials up there. Well, I'm glad I talked to that lady, and she seems to think that they're gonna really possibly be tearing this down soon. So at least we get to explore one last time. Now, I don't know. I would love to know what some of these old pews are from. If it has something to do with the old theme park from the 60s, or... See, this guy, Joel Freeland, he had all kinds of old stuff just everywhere. And I guess, his family, he still has descendants. Some of the Freelands still exist, but I remember even up into the 90s, you know, just walking into these barns, and there was trains and trolleys everywhere. It was a neat place to walk around and just look. But sadly, it's all coming to a close. Just the way it is. I'm actually kind of astonished it's still here. This is where I was talking about the tiny little art gallery. This guy, Sam Mazel, he's as you can see, a little folk artist, but it looks like he moved his art. I don't know if this is set up to be a shop or an art gallery because it looks kind of cluttered, but I can see his art all scattered throughout this place. Looks like, I don't know if it's all his art, but it doesn't look like his style, some of that stuff, but that one, the big one, does. But anyway, that is some of Sam's stuff. But anyway, I wanted to walk back here. There was something I forgot to check out while I was back here. Back at the old amphitheater. Trying to be quick. You never know who's gonna yell and stop you in your tracks. It's like, what are you doing back here? And it's like, I'm gonna skateboard that big concrete tunnel right there. Don't stop me. Hey, so I was wondering if this was an old remnant from long ago. Look at these old stairs. What are these from? I thought at first maybe it was the old slide. They said there was an old slide from back in the 60s and 70s. You know, I told you it was a theme park. Daniel Boone used to have it was a theme park in the 60s and I guess up into maybe the 70s. But there was even a wax museum at one point. A wax museum, a slide, and of course the amphitheater that I told you about. But this very well could be, yeah, I mean, this very well could be part of the slide. I'll have to ask the lady I work with who knows a lot about this stuff in this place. She really seems to know the history. Doesn't that look like that could be an old relic? Oh man. Oh, I didn't realize how big this was. I mean, even I can stand up in here. You almost could skateboard this thing. Wow. We'll just peek in. See, nice floors. Stairwell. There was even that little red building down there. That was a little art gallery at one time. I went to school here in Hillsboro back in the 90s and, mid to late 90s. And one of the girls that I hung out with, her mother had some kind of clothing shop here. "30-minute parking." Wow, they were strict, weren't they? Yeah, a lot of these places were antique shops. It was like almost ended up being just primarily an antique village. See, way down yonder, you can see the Daniel Boone statue. But see, that's an antique. Behind it was an antique place. That's cool. God, man. It's like everything they threw rocks through. Antiques for the cottage. One of these places I remember getting food. It was like for a small, I think down there, for a small little while, it was like a little burger joint. There, I remember our, seems like we used that little barn looking place for our company Christmas party back in the day. Oh, that's the blacksmith shop. Oh, let's cross the, let's go through the covered bridge. All it did was cross this little creek. Nice little place to sit. Now, my dad and I, we knew Dick, who owned, he still does, he has one in Elon. But he had this C&R ski for a long time. He actually used to set up, ski trips. So if you, take I guess, a van full of people or a little bus, I don't know, but go to Virginia, Wintergreen or something, snowshoe. Oh, so he still has, okay, he's on Churton Street, so maybe downtown? Huh, I'll have to look into that. Alien Workshop. I still have a couple skateboards. I was getting back into it about 10 years ago, and I remember I bought a skateboard from this place years ago, it seems like. No, or at least Will's. He had a cool picture of Dick had a cool picture with him with the real Skip England, who Heath Ledger portrayed in Lords of Dogtown. So if you haven't seen that movie, it's a must. It was about the Z-Boys, the guy. Group of California surfer kids and skateboarders that kind of revolutionized skateboarding in the 70s, and they made skateboarding and empty swimming pools kind of a big fad, during that time. But anyway, that was a good movie. Emil Hirsch was in it and a few other good actors. And there's also a documentary on the Z-Boys, and Sean Penn narrates it. So they used to do auctions at that place right there. Seeing that place right there was an antique place. I don't know what that's all about. I keep saying reserve for artagym.com mural project. He may have done that art. I did see some art on some of these buildings a ways back, but it seems to be gone now. Now, one of those buildings, the guy that used to own this, Joel Freeland, he used to buy all kinds of old wagons and vehicles from the 19th and early 20th century, and supposedly he had the trolley from Meet Me in St. Louis, the Judy Garland film from the 1940s. Anyway, it used to be showcased in that glass barn there, with all the glass that you see way down there. There's the cool blacksmith shop. That's so cool. Look at it. Look at the stove where the blacksmith would have done his work. would have been his little work area. Now this is where we lived. I've talked about where we lived when we moved from Texas back in the early 80s. This was the campground we lived in. And it was mostly travel trailers. You can see these couple trailers that are here. And these log cabins, of course, have been here forever, but it was predominantly travel trailers. So me, my parents, and my grandparents, we all lived here. Now this is, I think, the road we've lived on for a while. See where all the meters are? This is where all the travel trailers were parked. Then we moved to the back of the park, the campground, because I don't know. I guess my folks just wanted a nicer. I guess they liked that part of it a little bit better, so they decided to move on back there. This would have been 83, 84, so, you know, I was pretty small. I have some, hope I could find some pictures of this old campground to share with you. There's some more old meters. There's one. Let's see. Oh, wow. I'm trying to climb. Yep, see, it goes way on back here. See, we would have been back in the back there towards the end. After looking, I found some old pics from 83, 84, and that would have been the travel trailer that would have been in the campground eventually. And here is that's me. It's too bad you can't really see the travel trailers in that picture, but that's in the yard there. That'd be right by the road that I just showed you. And then there's me. That was me and my buddy Seth, and they lived right beside us. And then that's an old picture of the Daniel Boone Village back in its younger years. So I just wanted to show you these real quick. Oh, I've also found this. This was my parents' Scirocco. This was a 79 Scirocco. You know, you cannot find Scirocco's anymore. Whoever has them is holding on to them. Now they are popular in Germany. You know, they actually have made new Scirocco's, but it is, if you went on Craigslist, you might find one, but but that's right at the road we were just walking down. You just saw. Transportation. Now, he used to have some cool old wagons in there. And this is the building that the trolley was in from Meet Me in St. Louis. Oh, look at that. The poster's still there. That's a shame that it's ripped. That's a shame. I'm surprised somebody hasn't claimed that. I mean, I guess you could kind of, yeah, it's too bad it's ripped. That's probably why. It would have been gone if not for that. Here's an old picture of the Daniel Boone Railroad back in the 60s. And the guy who wrote an article on that I found on Google was the kid that's in front of this. As you can see, it says Daniel Boone Railroad and Okanichi on the train. And he talks about how it was similar to Tweetsie Railroad in Boone, North Carolina, and how they had a cowboy and Indian show, and it looped around. The tracks went through the woods. What would become the campground that my family and I would end up living in the early '80s, early to mid '80s. And the campground lasted until I think into the early 2000s. But that's it. That's so cool. Oh, that's Daniel Boone Railroad. I know that's it. That would have been neat if they had that whole train there on display in the Daniel Boone Village complex. Well, I think the guy, we emailed each other a few times because we were both interested, in searching for remnants and relics and whatnot around the village. And I thank him for sharing this on Google.